My Father's Love Story, A Lifetime of Little Things. Narrator, Son. They say love is in the grand gestures, the proposals, the surprises, the fairy tales, but my father's love story was nothing like that. It didn't have rose petals on the floor or violins playing in the background, but it had something stronger. It had silence, loyalty, kindness, and the kind of patience that only a few are capable of. This is the story of Raj and Meera, my parents. Chapter 1. A Library, a Poem, and a Beginning. It started in 1983 in a small college in Allahabad. My father, Raj, was a literature student, introverted, soft-spoken, a little awkward. He walked with a bag full of books and eyes full of dreams. He read Ghalib and Rumi, and he always carried a fountain pen with black ink. My mother, Meera, was a science student, confident, curious, and always surrounded by notebooks and lab reports. She liked things to be exact. My father liked things to be felt. They were opposites in every way, but somehow they always ended up in the same corner of the library. For months they didn't speak, just shared glances between pages. Then one day, my father noticed she was always borrowing the same poetry book. So, he did something brave. He slipped a handwritten note into it. The note said, "Science may explain how the stars shine, but poetry explains why they matter." She smiled when she read it. The next day, she left a note back. It said, "I prefer chemistry, but this poetry is interesting." And that's how it began, with notes hidden between poems. Chapter 2. Love in Slow Motion. Their friendship grew like a slow song, no rushing, no pressure. They met at the canteen, shared chai in earthen cups, and talked about dreams. My father wrote her little poems, some serious, some silly. She pretended not to care, but she kept every one of them. Eventually, my father told her he loved her, not with a big speech. He simply said one evening, while walking her home, "When I think about the future, you're the only thing that stays in it." She didn't reply right away, but the next day she gave him a book of her own, with a pressed flower inside. That was her yes. Chapter 3. Love isn't easy, but like all real love stories, their path wasn't smooth. Her family was strict. Old values, arranged marriage, the usual fears. They didn't want a poetry-reading dreamer for their daughter. They wanted an engineer. My father didn't fight them with anger. He waited. He wrote letters to her from afar. He focused on building a future. He became a teacher, started earning, saved every rupee he could. And when the time was right, after 4 long years, they convinced the families. They got married in 1987. Not in a big hall, but in the backyard of my grandparents' house, with only close friends and family. My mother wore a simple red sari. My father wrote his wedding vows as a poem. "I may not promise palaces or gold, but I promise hands that never let go." Chapter 4. The Kind of Love That Stays. I was born 2 years later. As a child, I thought love was something you said out loud, but my father never said "I love you" to my mother in front of us. He didn't need to. He showed it in little ways. He would wake up early to warm her tea before she even got out of bed. He'd dry her saris on the line so neatly, not a single crease. On her birthday every year, he would buy her one book and hide a note inside it. Every Sunday, without fail, they'd sit on the terrace and talk as the sun set. Once, I asked my father, "How do you love someone for 20 years without getting bored?" He smiled and said, "You don't fall in love once. You choose to love the same person again, every day." Chapter 5. When the Wind Blew Hard. When I was in college, my mother fell seriously ill. It was sudden, and it was serious. She lost weight. Her voice became faint. The doctors did their best, but we could see her fading. My father never left her side. He read to her. He sang old songs. He massaged her feet. And every night, even when she was too tired to speak, he would hold her hand and whisper, "You're still the girl from the library to me." One night, I saw him cry quietly on the balcony. He didn't see me. But the next morning, he was back at her side, smiling like always. Chapter 6. The Last Poem. On her final day, my father read her a poem he wrote years ago, one she never heard before. If I must walk alone someday, let it be with your shadow beside me. If you close your eyes first, I'll keep mine open long enough to remember every detail of your smile. She passed away holding his hand. My father didn't cry loudly, but every evening, for months, he sat in her chair on the terrace, alone, with 2 cups of tea, one for him, one for her. Chapter 7. Love After Love. Today, years later, he still keeps her books on the shelf